From the land of maple syrup and hockey, a different kind of legend emerges, one that echoes from coast to coast and across the world. Canada's musical landscape is as vast and varied as its geography, producing some of the most influential and beloved bands in history. Today, we're counting down the giants of the Great White North, the bands that have defined genres, sold millions of records, and left an indelible mark on music. So, grab your toque, settle in, and let's explore the greatest Canadian bands of all time. This isn't just a list, it's a sonic journey through the heart and soul of Canadian rock, folk, and everything in between. Let's start with a band that became synonymous with heartland rock and blue-collar anthems. Bachman-Turner Overdrive. ORBTO, formed in Winnipeg in 1973 by former members of the Guess Who. Randy Bachman and Chad Allen. BTO was a rock and roll powerhouse. They weren't about complex poetry. They were about raw, driving energy. With monster hits like Talkin' Care of Business and UAI, Unseen Nothing. Yet, they created the ultimate soundtrack for rolling down the highway with the windows down. Their straightforward, riff-heavy style was a global success, proving that Canadian rock could be gritty, powerful, and ridiculously catchy. BTO's music is pure, unadulterated fun. A testament to the power of a great guitar riff and a chorus you can shout at the top of your lungs. From the prairies, we head to the urban landscape of Toronto, home to one of new wave and power pop's most brilliant acts, the Bare-Naked Ladies. Don't let the quirky name fool you. This band is a force of musical genius. Forming in the late 80s, Ed Robertson and Stephen Page's witty, rapid-fire lyrics and incredibly tight musicianship set them apart. Songs like 1 Week, If I Had $1 Million, and Pinch Me are masterclasses in clever songwriting, blending humor with genuine emotion. Their live shows are legendary for their comedic banter and improvisational skills. The Bare-Naked Ladies showed the world that pop music could be intelligent, funny, and deeply relatable, securing their place as Canadian national treasures. Now, let's talk about a band that is, for many, the quintessential Canadian band. From Kingston, Ontario, please welcome the Tragically Hip. More than just a band, the Hip is a cultural institution. For over 3 decades, they were Canada's house band, with Gord Downey's evocative, poetic lyrics painting vivid pictures of Canadian life, history, and landscapes. Songs like Bob Kagan, Ahead by a Century, and Courage for Hugh McLennan aren't just songs. They're woven into the very fabric of the country's identity. While they might not have achieved the same level of global superstardom as some others on this list, their impact within Canada is unparalleled. The Hip's music is a shared experience, a collective memory that binds a nation together. Their legacy is a profound and beautiful love letter to their homeland. Changing gears dramatically, we have to talk about a band that brought punk energy and pop sensibilities to the mainstream, Sum 41, hailing from Ajax, Ontario. These guys exploded onto the scene at the turn of the millennium. With their blend of lightning-fast skate punk, metal-inspired guitar riffs, and pop-punk hooks, they became global superstars. Albums like All Killer No Filler and Does This Look Infected were anthems for a generation. Tracks like Fat Lip and In Too Deep were inescapable. Defining the sound of the early 2000s, Sum 41 proved that Canadian bands could be loud, rebellious, and unapologetically energetic, touring the world and influencing countless bands with their high-octane style. They were a shot of adrenaline to the music scene. Now, let's journey back to the 60s and 70s to honor one of Canada's first truly international rock successes, the Guess Who. Originating from Winnipeg, this band was a hit-making machine. They were pioneers, becoming the first Canadian rock group to have a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States with the iconic American Woman. But their legacy is so much more than one song. With a string of timeless hits like These Eyes, No Time, and Share the Land. Burton Cummings' powerful vocals and Randy Bachman's killer guitar work created a sound that was both soulful and rocking. The guests who laid the groundwork for generations of Canadian artists, proving that you could come from the Canadian prairies and conquer the world's airwaves. From one iconic era to another, we arrive at the band that defined a generation with their thoughtful, introspective brand of alternative rock. The Smashing Pumpkins, while led by an American, Billy Corgan, had two key Canadian members, guitarist James Iha and bassist Darcy Redsky, making their influence and connection to the Canadian scene significant. However, for a band that is purely Canadian, let us talk about a band that truly captured the alternative spirit of the 90s, Our Lady Peace, hailing from Toronto. Rain made us unique. Soaring falsetto and the band's dynamic, atmospheric rock sound created a string of massive hits. Songs like Clumsy, Superman's Dead, and Somewhere Out There dominated radio stations. They blended introspective lyrics with powerful anthemic choruses, creating a sound that was both commercially successful and artistically ambitious. Our Lady Peace became one of the leading voices of Canadian alternative rock in the 90s and beyond, consistently evolving their sound while maintaining their core identity. Let's turn up the volume for Canada's premier punk rock exports, Billy Talent. This band from Mississauga, Ontario, is a relentless sonic assault in the best way possible. From their debut self-titled album, they established a unique and instantly recognizable sound. Benjamin Kowalowicz's frantic, high-pitched vocals, combined with Ian Desai's intricate and powerful guitar riffs, create a sound that is both chaotic and incredibly precise. Songs like Try Honesty, Red Flag, and Fallen Leaves are punk rock anthems, tackling social and personal issues with raw honesty and explosive energy. For over 2 decades, Billy Talent has remained one of the most consistent and powerful live bands in the world, carrying the punk rock torch for Canada with pride. No list of great Canadian bands would be complete without the iconic, genre-bending magic of Steppenwolf. Though they formed in Los Angeles, the core of the band, including frontman John Kay, was made up of Canadian musicians who had moved south from Toronto. They are forever immortalized by their 2 earth-shattering anthems, Born to be Wild and Magic Carpet Ride. Born to be Wild didn't just define a moment. It literally coined the term heavy metal in its lyrics. Their sound was a potent mix of hard rock, blues, and psychedelia that captured the rebellious spirit of the late 1960s. Steppenwolf's contribution is monumental, creating songs that have become permanent fixtures in pop culture and rock history. Now, for a band that isn't just one of the greatest from Canada, but one of the greatest rock bands of all time, period. The Holy Triumvirate from Toronto, Rush, for over 40 years. Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and the legendary Neil Peart redefined what was possible in rock music. They were virtuosos, masters of their instruments, who pushed the boundaries of progressive rock with complex time signatures, philosophical lyrics, and epic, sprawling compositions. From the raw energy of Working Man to the sci-fi opus of 2112, and the polished synth rock of Tom Sawyer and Limelight, their evolution was constant and brilliant. Rush built a fiercely loyal global fanbase, not through radio hits, but through sheer musicianship and artistic integrity. They are, without question, musical royalty, inspiring countless musicians to pick up an instrument and dream bigger. Their legacy is immeasurable. And that brings us to our #1 spot, a band that combined masterful songwriting, incredible harmony, and a deep connection to North American history and folklore. The band, while composed of 4 Canadians and 1 American, their sound was born and honed in Toronto and rural Ontario. Robbie Robertson, Rick Danko, Garth Hudson, Richard Manuel, and Levon Helm created a sound that was completely their own, a rustic blend of rock, folk, country, and R&B that felt both timeless and revolutionary. Albums like Music from Big Pink and their self-titled second album are landmark recordings. Songs like The Wait, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, and Up on Cripple Creek are more than just songs. They are American and Canadian mythology set to music. Their influence on artists from Eric Clapton to George Harrison is a matter of record. The band's authentic, soulful music represents a pinnacle of collaborative artistry, making them, for our list, the greatest Canadian band of all time. From folk to punk, from prog rock to pop, Canada's contribution to the world of music is immense and undeniable. These bands didn't just create songs, they created soundtracks for our lives and shaped the course of music history. Of course, this list is just the tip of the iceberg. Who did we miss? Let me know your favorite Canadian bands in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this musical trip through the Great White North, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, keep the music playing.